Hey everyone, I just wanted to do a quick video this morning because some news has come out about Robbie Coltrane, possibly best known for people in my age group and my generation as Hagrid from the Harry Potter films. He has passed away, age 72, I'm pretty sure, and I just wanted to talk a little bit about his legacy as Hagrid. So I'm talking about this from the perspective of a lifelong fan of the Harry Potter franchise, the books, movies, and everything like that. And what I think Robbie Coltrane offered to that series, that franchise, and to a generation of children like me who grew up watching him, particularly in the first few Harry Potter films. So unfortunately, we are moving towards this time where a lot of the adult actors from these films are getting into their old age. And you look at Alan Rickman, who died a few years ago. Richard Harris, of course, died before the films ended. You know, after the second film, he was Dumbledore and then he was replaced by Michael Gambon. But I think Robbie Coltrane's role as Hagrid is so iconic. And I guess we start with the first Harry Potter movie. And when you're making a film like that, where the main characters are all children, they're all child actors, and they would all become icons because of this series. You know, Daniel Radcliffe, Emma Watson, Rupert Grint, Tom Felton, even the recurring actors who played characters like Seamus Finnegan and Neville and Dean Thomas and Crabbe and Goyle, like they're all pretty iconic people, and characters. But I think the thing about that first Harry Potter film that really helped solidify it from being a children's film to like quite a magical, for lack of a better word, experience that went on to help the film series become such a success was the amount of experienced adult actors who were willing to get on board what possibly was a risky project for them, and just give it their all. Of course, we have these amazing experienced adult actors who just brought so many of these characters from the books to life and were casted so perfectly for their roles. Like we have Alan Rickman as Snape, an iconic role. Professor McGonagall with Maggie Smith, Richard Harris, and Warwick Davis as Professor Flitwick. All of these adult actors did such an incredible job bringing these characters to life, but not the least of which was Robbie Coltrane as Hagrid, who was the first kind of magical character you're introduced to aside from Harry. And his role in the films dwindled a fair bit over the 8 films and the 10, 11 years that they were filming them for. Naturally, because, you know, in the first book and film, Hagrid is really there to introduce Harry to this magical world. And there's something about Robbie Coltrane's performance in that first film in particular that is just so special, warm, welcoming, friendly, a little bit dim-witted, which is what Hagrid was kind of supposed to be, but just beautiful in so many ways. Like, I still think of that movie and remember being a kid, and I think Hagrid's warmth that carries throughout that entire film and the way in which that character just embraces Harry and teaches him about the magical world and brings him to Diagon Alley and brings him to Hogwarts, and they continue to visit him throughout the film, and we learn so much more about him with Norbert the dragon and Fluffy the three-headed dog and what this world is, and so much of that is due to this Hagrid character. And I think Robbie Coltrane just absolutely nailed that performance throughout the entire series. Again, dwindling a little bit as the series went on, but those first 2 films in particular, with Chris Columbus at the helm as director, I think did such an incredible job making that character stand out, and such an important character in this series. I think Robbie Coltrane just brought it for that film, and I think I really do think a lot of those adult actors could have just gone, oh, this is some dumb children's film. I guess I'll do it. I don't see it going anywhere, so I'm going to phone it in. But to their credit, and I really do think that might have been the attitude. I mean, recently we had Alan Rickman's diary entries where he did talk about how he was skeptical about Harry Potter and he wasn't sure about it. But the fact that they all showed up and gave their all for this series and just put so much of themselves into it, and also just continued doing those roles for 10 years in varying degrees of I guess, expectation around them. Like, what I think about the Harry Potter films is that, McGonagall is not necessarily a big character in many of the films, but Maggie Smith showed up for all 8 of those films and just made that character iconic. As did Robbie Coltrane, as did Alan Rickman, as did Warwick Davis, as did Richard Harrison, Michael Gambon, as the Hogwarts staff that were there pretty much for every film, and they didn't have to do that. And yeah, I'm very sad to hear of Robbie Coltrane's passing, because I think when I think of Harry Potter, I think of Hagrid, and I think of that warmth, and I think of that friendship that Harry and Hagrid had, and, he was the one that brought Harry into the world. And I also loved that, Hagrid was literally the embodiment of a gentle giant, and he was emotional, and he was loving, and he cared so much about Harry, and was also a bit cheeky and broke the rules a bit and knew he was breaking the rules but just did it anyway. I think Robbie Coltrane was just the perfect casting for that character, and I look back at the Harry Potter reunion special that came out at the start of 2022 maybe, and the way that Robbie Coltrane spoke in that, ironically, I suppose, he said that he'll be gone in 20 more. He said, in 20 more years, I'll be gone, but Hagrid will still be there. And he teared up a little bit, knowing that, he's getting older. And as we all go through when we get older, we know that we're coming to the end of our lives, and he knew that. But I think he was aware of the legacy that he had created with the character of Hagrid. And I think that's really important, to be aware that this is bigger than yourself, that Harry Potter is bigger than him, it's bigger than Hagrid, but to know that he's carved out a place in this amazing franchise, frankly, and that he knows that it's going to exist long after he is gone. And I think that's really special, and I think his awareness of that is really, really special as well. And I think he really loved his experience on the Harry Potter films, and I know he was a very accomplished actor outside of the Harry Potter films, but again, I know him as Hagrid, and I think he did a phenomenal job in that role, and I'll just be remembering him. I might rewatch one of the first 2 movies over this weekend, just in tribute. But yeah, rest in peace, Robbie Coltrane. Thank you for your incredible portrayal of a fantastic character in a franchise that means so much to so many kids and grown-up kids like me. I thought, just to end the video, I'll read some of the tributes that have come through about him on Twitter. Stephen Fry said, "I first met Robbie Coltrane almost exactly 40 years ago. I was awe, terror, love struck all at the same time. Such depth, power and talent, funny enough to cause helpless hiccups and honking as we made our first TV show al fresco. Farewell, old fellow. You'll be so dreadfully missed." J.K. Rowling said, "I'll never know anyone remotely like Robbie again. He was a complete one-off, and I was beyond fortunate to know him, work with him, and laugh my head off with him." Daniel Radcliffe, Harry Potter, said, "Robbie was one of the funniest people I've met, and used to keep us laughing constantly as kids on set. I've especially fond memories of him keeping our spirits up on Prisoner of Azkaban when we were all hiding from the torrential rain for hours in Hagrid's hut, and he was just telling stories and cracking jokes to keep morale up. I feel incredibly lucky that I got to meet and work with him, and very sad that he's passed. He was an incredible actor and a lovely man." Emma Watson said on her Instagram story, Robbie was the most fun uncle I've ever had, but most of all, he was deeply caring and compassionate towards me as a child and an adult. His talent was so immense that it made sense he played a giant. He could fill any space with his brilliance. Robbie, if I ever get to be so kind as you were to me on a film set, I promise I'll do it in your name and memory. Know how much I adore and admire you. I'll really miss your sweetness, your nicknames, your warmth, your laughs, and your hugs. You made us a family. Know you were that to us. Wow. Little bit of goosebumps there. She also said there was no better Hagrid. You made it a joy to be Hermione. It's huge goosebump moments there. Tom Felton said, one of my fondest memories of filming Harry Potter was a night shoot on the first film in the Forbidden Forest. I was 12, Robbie cared and looked after everyone around him effortlessly and made them laugh effortlessly. He was a big friendly giant on screen, but even more so in real life. Love you, mate. Thank you for everything. Matthew Lewis, Neville Longbottom, wrote, Robbie, he called me the space boy. We shared a love of the final frontier. He didn't give an F, and it always made you smile. A giant in more ways than one. We had some times. Bonnie Wright, Ginny Weasley, heartbroken by the passing of Robbie Coltrane. Robbie portrayed Hagrid's warmth, sense of home, and unconditional love for his students and magical creatures so brilliantly. Robbie always treated me and my fellow castmates when we were kids like equal professionals on a film set, a type of attitude that instilled confidence and a sense of togetherness. Thanks for all the laughter. And then Oliver and James Phelps, the Weasley twins. I'll never forget in September 2000, Robbie Coltrane came over to a very nervous 14-year-old me on my first ever day on a movie set and said, enjoy it, you'll be great. Thanks for that. That was James, and Oliver said, November 2001, Leicester Square, London. Soak this in, lads. It's like a Rolls Royce for your first car. Robbie Coltrane went, he was next to me on the red carpet of the first Harry Potter premiere. Over the years, we had some great chats about history and travel. Rest in peace, Robbie. Well, there you go. Getting some goosebumps there. Again, from a Harry Potter fan to you, Robbie Coltrane. Thank you for your incredible work. We'll miss you very much, but we will never forget the work you did on the Harry Potter films. That's it from me for today, guys. Check out some of my other videos and speak to you soon.